You know, whenever we talk about mythology or really just storytelling in general,
Hmm.
there's always this incredibly magnetic pull toward the rebel.
Oh, absolutely, the bad boy with the heart of gold.
Yes, that archetype, it's totally universal.
It's the Han Solo trope, the James
Yeah.
Dean. We love the chaos because it feels like freedom.
Exactly. And in the massive Chinese classic Investiture of the Gods, the Fengshen Yanya, that character is, I mean, it's undoubtedly Ne Zha.
Oh, for sure. If you look at pop culture right now, especially Chinese animation,
Yeah.
Ne Zha is everywhere.
Yes. And for good reason.
He's the punk rock god. I mean, he's the third son of the Li family. He fights his own father. He's got wheels of fire.
He strips a Dragon King's son of his spine.
Exactly. He is pure, unadulterated, explosive energy.
Mm.
And, he's a lot of fun to watch.
He just captures all the attention. He is the main event.
Mm-hmm.
But looking through the stack of research and analyses we have for today, I realized something. While Ne Zha is, flipping tables and setting the ocean on fire, there is almost always someone standing right next to him. Someone quieter.
Wow.
Someone who, frankly, gets completely overlooked.
You were talking about the quintessential middle child.
I am. We are doing a deep dive today into Musa, the second son of the pagoda-bearing heavenly king, Li Jing.
Right.
And look, I know what you're thinking, and I know what you, the listener, are probably thinking. Great, a deep dive on the boring brother.
It sounds like a middle child syndrome episode waiting to happen, for sure.
Right. But the sources we're diving into today, they argue something totally different. They argue Musa isn't the background character because he's boring or lacks talent. He's the background character because he is the only one holding the entire scene together.
It is a fascinating reframe. It moves us away from that video game logic of, who hits the hardest or who has the flashiest powers. And we start looking at a different kind of strength. I think the mission for this deep dive is really to answer a core question. In a world that's obsessed with breaking the game, like Ne Zha does, what is the actual value of the person who just refuses to be moved?
We've got some incredible notes here, analyzing his origins, his training under a very specific master, Puxian Zhenren, and some parables that, well, honestly, they stopped me in my tracks.
They're powerful.
So let's unpack this, but we have to start with the family context, right? Because the Li family is not a normal family.
No, not even close. The Li family is basically a microcosm of the entire Celestial War. It's high stakes.
So you've got the father, General Li Jing.
He's a career military man. Very rigid, very old school. He represents authority, hierarchy, order.
And then you have the three sons, and the sources point out that these three sons, they're not just random siblings, they represent a philosophical spectrum.
Exactly. It's designed that way in the text. So on one far end, you have the eldest, Jinza. He follows the Manjusri lineage.
Okay, pause there. For someone who isn't deep in this lore, what does Manjusri lineage actually imply? What kind of vibe is that?
Good catch. So Manjusri is the bodhisattva of wisdom. It represents high intellect, rationality, restraint, strategy. Jinza is the head.
The brain.
The brain. He's the guy who plans the battle but maybe stays back in the command tent. He's all cold logic.
Got it. So Jinza is the brain. And on the far other end of the spectrum...
That's Ne Zha, the youngest. He follows the Tai lineage. His master, Tai Zhenren, well, that style for Ne Zha manifests as raw force. It's sharp, explosive, destructive.
He's the fist.
He's the fist. Exactly. He breaks boundaries.
And stuck right in the center.
Is Miza. And this is key. He isn't just an average of the two. He's not a watered-down version of his brothers. He represents the middle way, the central path. The source material describes him as the focal point of balance.
What's interesting to me is that despite being a general's son, Musa didn't follow his dad's path, did he? He didn't stay in the mortal realm and climb the military ranks.
No. He went to the mountains. He chose to cultivate the Tao. And we should clarify, cultivating the Tao here isn't just, sitting around humming.
Right.
In this lore, it's about aligning yourself with the universe to gain immortality and power. But his approach was different. His personality, right from the start, is described as non-combative, not showy. He values mindset over brute force.
He didn't want the glory of the duel.
No. Which seems counterintuitive for a war story. When the Investiture of the Gods conflict kicks off, this massive celestial civil war, Musa is there. He's on the front lines. But he's not doing what Ne Zha's doing.
Right. You don't see him shouting insults at the enemy general, trying to challenge them to single combat so he can look cool.
He's not looking for the highlight reel.
So if he's not the striker, what is he?
He's the stabilizer. That's the word the sources use. Or maybe a better analogy is like the sweeper-keeper in soccer. His function is to do the execution work. He protects the law, specifically the Dharma, the cosmic order. He cleans up the mess. The sources make this great point. Ne Zha is the person you hand a task to when it absolutely cannot go wrong.
Wow. That's a heavy responsibility. It's less glamorous, but the stakes are actually higher.
They are.
If Ne Zha messes up, it's just more chaos, which is kind of his brand anyway. If Ne Zha messes up...
Line breaks. If the stabilizer fails, the whole structure collapses.
And that kind of reliability doesn't just happen by accident, it comes from his training.
Which brings us to his teacher.
Yes. Puxian Zhenren. I love digging into the mentors in these stories because the master shapes the hero's entire worldview. So who is this guy?
Puxian Zhenren is one of the 12 golden immortals of the Chan school. These are the heavy hitters of the Taoist world. But Puxian is unique.
How so?
In the broader lore, he's associated with the later Buddhist figure Samantabhadra.
Okay, let's decode that. What does Samantabhadra represent for the listener?
Virtue. That's the big one. Day in Chinese. But also patience, vows, and crucially, stability. He's often depicted riding a white elephant.
A white elephant?
Yes. Think about an elephant. It is an animal of immense power, but it moves slowly, deliberately. It is unshakable. That is the energy Puxian brings.
So while other masters are teaching their students how to summon lightning or throw magic bracelets that crush skulls...
Right, or breathe fire.
Puxian is teaching Ne Zha a route called cultivating law through virtue and controlling force through stability.
Exactly.
Controlling force through stability.
That sounds incredibly zen, but is it practical in a war?
It is, but it requires a totally different mindset. Yeah. And the result is that Ne Zha is described as a gentle young Taoist. He's calm, firm, not aggressive. And that's a direct reflection of Puxian's philosophy.
He's not teaching Ne Zha how to start a fight.
He's teaching him how to end one by not escalating it.
But wait, I have to challenge that a little. Because gentle and calm in a war against demons, doesn't that just mean passive? Is he just standing there taking hits? And that is the common misconception. And that's exactly what Ne Zha himself struggled with. He thought stability meant doing nothing.
I see.
But Puxian's training was about showing him that stability is an active force. It's not about being a rock that just sits there. It's about being a mountain that redirects the wind.
Ah, okay. We have these two specific stories, parables, really from the source material that illustrate this perfectly.
We do.
I think this is where we really get to the core of who Ne Zha is. This section, the parable of wind, water, and the sword, it dramatizes that internal struggle so well.
It really is beautiful storytelling.
Oh.
It takes the philosophy and makes it physical.
So let's go there. Set the scene for us. Where are we?
Okay, so imagine Puxian's home. It's deep in the mountains, high up, isolated. There's an ancient pine tree outside that stood there for 1,000 years. One day, a massive storm rolls in.
A really bad one.
Oh, yeah. The wind is screaming, clouds are churning, the whole forest is shaking. It's absolute chaos.
And Ne Zha, is he inside taking shelter?
No. He's standing under the pine tree. He's holding his sword. His robes are flapping wildly in the gale. The noise is deafening. But his feet are planted.
He isn't retreating.
He isn't retreating. He isn't fighting the wind. He's not slashing at the air like Ne Zha would. But he isn't hiding from it either. And Puxian is just watching him from a distance, silent.
And then, when the storm passes...
The master walks up to him. The silence returns. And he asks a simple question. When the wind was urgent, did your heart move?
Ooh, that's the question, isn't it? It's not, did you move your feet? It's, did your heart move?
That's it. And Ne Zha sheathes his sword, bows, and answers very slowly. I knew the wind would pass, so I did not move.
I knew the wind would pass. That's such a profound perspective on crisis. It implies this deep trust in impermanence. But the master pushes him, right?
He does. He asks the follow-up. What if the wind doesn't stop?
And that's a terrifying thought. What if the crisis is permanent? And Ne Zha says...
Then I stand firmer.
Then I stand firmer. Man, this is the whole philosophy right there.
It is. It's not about hoping the problem goes away. It's about your own resolve being stronger than the problem.
It shifts the locus of control. If I wait for the wind to stop, I'm a victim of the weather. If I decide to stand firmer...
Then I am the master of my own reality.
Right.
But there's a second layer to this training. Because Ne Zha, like we said, isn't a robot. He had insecurities.
Right. This leads to the story of the water bowl. This takes place just before he leaves for the war. He's having a crisis of
A
confidence.
big one. He looks at his brothers, at the other disciples,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes to Puxian and essentially asks, Master, everyone else learned enemy-defeating arts. They learned how to kill. I only learned defense and patience. Am I too slow? Am I going to be useless?
He feels like he brought a shield to a gunfight.
That's exactly it. He's worried he's obsolete before he even starts.
So what does Puxian do?
Well, being the classic Chan master, he doesn't give him a pep talk. He doesn't say, you're great, champ. He points to a bowl of clear water on a table, perfectly reflecting the mountains and the sky. Then he just dips his finger in and disturbs it. The ripples shatter the reflection. Chaos in a bowl.
And what does he say?
He says, seeking victory in chaos is the common path. Remaining unchaotic amidst chaos is the difficult path.
Remaining unchaotic amidst chaos. That is a powerful phrase.
Then he waits. He makes Musa watch the water until it settles back into a perfect mirror. And he tells him, what you learned isn't a technique. It is the ability to stand in your original place when everyone else is rushing.
That is the moment Musa gets it. He realizes his training wasn't about being slow. It was about not being dragged away.
Not being dragged away by the situation, not by anger, not by the enemy's tempo. If you fight on the enemy's terms, you've already lost half the battle.
Right.
Musa's training was about forcing the world to meet him on his terms.
And the send-off reflects that too, doesn't it, when he finally leaves for the war?
It's so stark. Puxian gives him no tactical advice, no map, no secret weapon in a gift box.
No.
He just says, if you remember the mountain wind today, you will remember who you are fighting for.
That gives me goosebumps. It's so understated. And I think this leads us perfectly into the so what of this deep dive because, we are not ancient Chinese warriors fighting a celestial war.
Most of us aren't, no.
But this concept, the value of not being moved, it feels incredibly relevant to, just existing today.
It's the ultimate psychological insight. Think about it. Musa's power isn't that he hits harder. It's that he cannot be manipulated. In any conflict, a negotiation, an argument, a Twitter thread, if I can make you angry, I own you. If I can make you fearful, I own you. If I can make you rush, I own you.
Right. Ne Zha is easy to manipulate because he's reactive. He has a hair-trigger temper. You insult him, he attacks. You can predict that.
You can. But Musa,
Yeah.
You can insult him, threaten him, and he just looks at you like you're a gust of wind.
He's not playing your game.
He's not. The source draws this specific comparison using two Chinese terms. Ne Zha represents Poju, breaking the situation. He's the disruptor. But Musa represents Shouzheng,
Which means
guarding the righteousness.
guarding the righteousness. That feels like a leadership quality.
It is. I mean, think about the listener right now. Think about a professional environment. Who's the Ne Zha in the office?
Oh, we all know a Ne Zha. The rock star who comes in, disrupts everything, maybe lands a huge client, but also sets the break room on fire and screams at the intern.
Exactly. High risk, high reward, extremely high maintenance. They take up all the oxygen in the room. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. But then who is the Musa?
The Musa is the one who handles the crisis when the software crashes at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
Yes. The one who doesn't reply to the angry client email immediately, but waits 20 minutes, writes a calm response, and de-escalates the whole thing.
That's it. There is immense value in being the person who doesn't react impulsively to the wind, whether that wind is urgent emails, family drama, or market crashes. The Musa archetype is the adult in the room.
The source notes actually mention that. They say Musa is the character you appreciate more as you get older.
That's a very common sentiment when you analyze Sanction Yanyi. When you're a teenager, you want to be Ne Zha. You want to rebel. You want to burn it all down. It feels good. It feels like freedom.
But when you're 30 or 40...
You realize that true freedom isn't just exploding. True freedom is reliability. It's the adult virtue. It's knowing people can count on you. Musa represents that shift from the adolescent virtue of rebellion to the mature virtue of stability.
It's the difference between being a firework and being a lighthouse. A firework is exciting for a second, but a lighthouse stops ships from crashing into the rocks.
That's a perfect analogy. And remember, his role in the war, he was the cleaner. He protected the Dharma. He ensured the mission succeeded.
He didn't need the glory.
He needed the result. That is a level of ego death that is very rare, even in mythology. Most heroes are driven by ego. Musa is driven by duty.
It goes back to that water bowl, remaining unchaotic. It strikes me that in our current information environment, social media, 24-hour news, We were constantly being poked. The finger is constantly disturbing the water.
It is. We are all feeling dragged
Yeah.
away all the time. We are conditioned to react. We're conditioned to think that if we don't have a hot take or an immediate emotional response, we're losing.
Or that we don't care.
Right. And Musa teaches us that the person who pauses, who reflects, who stays calm, is actually the one in control.
It's funny because, in a way, Musa is the ultimate counterculture hero for today. The rebellious thing to do now isn't to scream louder, it's to be quiet.
I love that. Silence is rebellion. Stability is resistance.
So let's bring it back to that definition we started with. Musa is the orthodox Chan disciple.
Right. He prioritizes not becoming something he hates over simply winning. That's the crux of it.
I love that line from the summary. He didn't learn how to win, he learned how not to lose himself.
It's the ultimate victory, really.
Yeah.
If you win the war, but you've become a monster or a nervous wreck or you've compromised your principles, what have you actually won?
Right.
You conquered the external territory, but you lost the internal one. Musa walks out of the war the same person he was when he walked in, just stronger. That is a success story that doesn't get enough credit.
It really doesn't. We focus so much on the conquest that we forget about the preservation.
And that's why Musa is the stabilizer.
Mm-hmm.
You can build a kingdom on Musa. You can't build one on Ne Zha. He'd burn it down eventually just to see what happened.
Or because he got bored. So true. As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with that image of him standing in the wind. Just robes flapping, totally unbothered. It's anchoring.
It's an image I think we should all keep in our back pocket. Next time the wind picks up at work or home, just visualize the pine tree.
Absolutely. So, here is a thought for you to carry with you today. In your own life, your career, relationships, whatever, you probably have plenty of strategies for how to move forward. You have your to-do lists, your 5-year plans, your OKRs. But do you have a strategy for how to stand still when the wind picks up? Do you know how to be the pine tree?
Because eventually the wind always picks up.
It always does. Thanks for swimming in the deep end with us today.
It was a pleasure. Stay steady.
Catch you next time.